Building muscle is not rocket science. So, this is what I would tell my younger self if I wanted to start my fitness journey or focus on building muscle in general. And it is a matter of training with the right frequency. So, at least train the body part that you want to grow twice a week. It is about hitting a certain protein goal. So I would just keep it at 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're 120 pounds, that would mean 120 grams of protein daily. And then I would say try to do the same thing over and over again until you feel like you're not progressing, because that allows you to track whatever it is that you are doing, and then next session you can try to increase so you know that you're actually making progress. And I would say train hard. That's basically it. Probably also rest and sleep, because if you don't recover, like, there's no time for you to grow. But the basics are the basics for a reason. Like, they don't change. It is always the same. And you can make it super fancy with exercise selection or variations or different splits. But honestly, the basics are the basics, and they worked in the past and they will also continue to work in the future. So that is what I would tell my younger self, to keep it simple and stick to a plan and train hard. And I think training hard is really interesting, because I always thought that I trained hard, and looking back, I trained hard, but there was definitely room to train harder. Because when I was training with Gail, I was training with Gail in Spain. It was asking her to be my coach for my leg day specifically, because I felt like I really wanted to learn as much as I could. And she looks amazing. She is so strong. So I looked up to her. I saw her in the gym, and then I approached her and I asked, because I think that you should always stay a student. Like, you should always strive to keep learning, to become better, and to, get tips. Especially, I think, people that have a certain physique that you maybe look up to, not necessarily that they know everything that there is, but if they have a certain physique, then they probably have some good tips. So I approached her, I asked her, she gave training in the gym, so she wanted to give me training, which was really nice. But then she definitely pushed my boundaries or my limits, and it made such a difference for me, because I just use that mindset now every single time that I train, because she taught me how to train hard, because I thought that I was training as hard as I could before. But then looking back, I probably still had another like 4 reps at least in the tank, because when there is someone standing next to you and actually like pushing you, you also feel a little bit more safe, because obviously you have a spotter there, but it also then shows you like how much you can actually hurt before you are giving up. I talked about it before, but I often tap out mentally before I physically do, because I don't try to hit failure with my lifts in a physical sense. Like, I don't try to go there where my form breaks down and I actually, for example, when I squat, that I have to like drop the barbell, because to me the risk of injury is too big. But if I can do it in a safe way, then I can definitely push myself a little bit harder. Or for example, in isolation exercises, where it's sometimes a little bit more safe because it's not a compound lift, your central nervous system isn't involved. But she showed me that I could push myself so much harder, and knowing that you can take that, like, you learn that when you push your own boundaries or limits, like, you'll learn that you are capable of so much more. And therefore I took that knowledge with me, and it still benefits me now. So you should train hard, but also know that training hard is not, like, it's not a yes or no question. It's a spectrum. Like, you can think that you train hard, but do you really? And then simultaneously, there are people that are probably training too hard, if you could actually say that, because also training hard correlates with how much time you need to recover. I remember doing leg days with Gail, and I like felt like I needed to sleep after. That's how hard I pushed myself. And then if you would have told me that I had to train my legs like 48 hours after, I probably wouldn't have even made it, because mentally I just couldn't do it. So I think that there is a correlation between how hard you push yourself and then how much you need to recover. So you need to find that sweet spot. But when I say training hard, try to push yourself a little bit extra next time. And maybe not even in a sense that you increase the weights or that you do a lot more reps, but it can also be that you do like a lot better when you're actually performing your reps. Because if you control the weight down, that was one of the things that she was really, really paying a lot of attention to, like me having to control the negative part of the movement and not just like letting the weight go and then actually holding it at the top of the movement, for example, to really feel that squeeze. That's also a way of training really hard. So it's actually this, instead of viewing your set as, let's say, 10 reps, view every single rep as one rep. Like, as that is the one rep that you are doing. And I think that makes a very, very big difference, because otherwise, what you'll do is you'll have 8 reps where you're just like kind of going through the weight, and then the last two, those are counting. You know what I mean? Like, then it's like you're really challenging yourself, and then it's like, okay, 9, 10, I'm done now. But if you really see every individual rep as that's a rep, that is something that you have to execute perfectly, then I think that makes a really big difference in how hard you're training and how you're also approaching your training. Keeping the windows closed because otherwise there's too much noise, but I am sweating. Like, this is the warm up before my actual training, which is great because I don't have any cardio equipment. So this will just do as a general warm up and I'll just move on to some mobility work. But today I'm doing an upper body session with a focus on shoulders and back. You know, I love training shoulders and back. It is so good. I've been having an issue with the back of my shoulder blade. It's not an injury, it's just where I've been told that I store my stress, which absolutely makes sense because whenever I'm very stressed, that spot acts up. So it doesn't correlate to my training. And I've been doing acupuncture, and she also wants to try cupping, and it made such a difference. So I'm actually excited to see now if I move differently, because I could tell that my range of motion in my left arm was therefore impacted because of what's happening on the back of my shoulder. Because when I was doing a press, for example, and I filmed myself, I could see that my right arm was moving down further, whereas the left was kind of stopping here. So I could definitely tell that something has been acting up, but it's now been a lot better. I've had this for over a decade. I've just now started treating it, but it's been a lot better now, actually. So I'm excited to see if it also impacts my training positively. We'll see. Moving on to the gym, and I'll see you there for my back, shoulder, upper body session. I just finished warming up and the reps actually felt quite smooth. So what I'm going to attempt is to do body weight lat pull downs and just to wrap it and see how far I can take it. I'm using liquid chalk and I'm also using lifting straps just to see if I can push myself to the limit, because honestly the ultimate goal is to be able to rep body weight lat pull downs, because I feel like then you're able to easily increase with your pull-ups as well. So let's see. That was tragic. Drop it. I have good news and I have bad news. So the bad news is that I was not able to rep out my body weight on the lat pull down. Good news is there is still so much room to progress even after years of training. So that definitely was a fail in my book of hopes and dreams because I did 5 reps with 60 kgs, which is approximately my body weight, and I aimed for 12. That was not happening. So then I dropped the weight to 50 kgs and I was able to do 8. And then I dropped the weight to 42 and a half and I was able to do 12. So there is still so much room for me to progress. So what I'll actually be doing from now on, if I remember and if I don't forget, is that I usually cycle between starting with a vertical push and then a vertical pull for my upper body works. And now I just stay with the vertical pulls because the exercise that you start with is the exercise that you'll have most energy for and you'll focus on progressing with mainly. So if you want to progress on a vertical pull, in my case, it makes sense to start with it and to dedicate most of your energy to it. And to be fair, in the past, I have often started with a vertical push just because I love like training my shoulders and just that the pushing feeling is great. So that's what I have been doing and that's what I'll change from now on just for a couple of weeks just to see if that can help me with progressing. Because when you train it, you'll build your skill and then you're usually able to progress with it. So next up, I am doing a horizontal row. I'm doing a single arm cable pull. I'm doing unilateral exercise because, again, I have the stress in my left shoulder. I want to minimize any imbalances that I have, muscular or strength-wise. So I'll do a unilateral exercise now, and I am starting with my left side, the weaker one, train that, and then I'll match the work with my stronger side, the right side. So let's see how that goes. Usually, again, I also cycle between pushes and pulls, especially if I want to superset stuff, if I'm in a rush, but I want to stay in this corner of the gym, so I'll just do a row now, because rules are meant to be broken. Okay, so let's continue with the cable pull. I don't think that there will ever be a day where the cable lateral raise feels easier on like the lowest weight. The day that I'll progress with the cable lateral raise is a day that I will celebrate. The last couple of exercises were isolation work for the shoulders. Started with the side lateral raises on the cable for the side delts. Then I did the front raises for the front delts, and now I'm doing face pulls to target the rear delts. I've been really enjoying doing this variation because especially when your weight stack is a bit higher, then if you do it kneeling or even standing, you'll be pulled towards the cable, and when you are laying down, well, obviously you have your weight working in your favor. So it really helped me with isolating my rear delts. But that was it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.